Hey, you geeks! Knife of Dreams finally feels like a whole Wheel of Time book. The last 3 books felt like side adventures, none of which felt whole. I never thought I'd miss Galad and the White Cloaks.
The perfect knight. Is that what you think you are, is it?
The last time they were relevant was book 4? Not sure if they're relevant here, yet they open this book with a sword fight. And no one can write a sword fight like Robert Jordan. I hadn't realized how much I missed that. This book is Robert Jordan's swan song, and I'm happy to say it was worth it. A final curtain call for everything I've loved about this series.
One last time, the people will hear from me.
Without further ado, here are my spoilerific thoughts on characters, world building, magic system, and plot. Also, a fond farewell for this beloved author. Loyal. I may have underappreciated Loyal in the past. At first, he seemed little more than Snow White's 8th dwarf.
And you're bashful. Oh, gosh.
Now he's all grown up, growing a beard, and getting married. Aerith is wonderful, and Nosine is so cute. The reveal that Ogiers are aliens has forever shifted my image of tree singing.
Now there's a party going on right here.
Perrin. The Wolf King may ride with the hammer, yet conspicuously without any wolves. Yet he made a treaty with the Shan-Chan and successfully organized an attack on Malden.
Get the cavalry!
Last book resolved his internal struggle over the axe. So, Knife of Dreams is about him committing to his course of action, though not without consequences. The first are Tam's gray hairs. Tam is back and as awesome as ever. Yet Perrin leaving it to Taim to tell Tam about Rand being the Dragon Reborn was not cool.
Perhaps next time we should start with the big one.
The second is Aram. Perrin utterly failed him. He gave Aram that sword, then left him to the prophet. In a few weeks, Aram went from worshipping Perrin to believing him shadow spawn. Or maybe Aram stopped worshipping Perrin long ago. Perrin never asked, so we'll never know. At least Perrin didn't directly kill him. One less burden as Perrin takes up his hammer and turns to ride for Tarmangaiden, whether he knows it or not. Matt. A man of many layers.
Ogres are like onions.
They stink?
Yes.
Matt has reclaimed the title of Best Targaryen at Understanding Women. He catches some of Tuon's disdain, then goes out of his way to aggravate it.
Here's to the ladies, married or free. They all look pretty good to me.
Honestly, I like Tuon relying on seemingly nonsensical omen. Makes perfect sense for why she would be drawn to Matt, though she doesn't have to be so self-righteous about it. Free of the circus and back with the band, we're into true Matt chapters, where he casually pulls that same maneuver that great captain in Ara Doman was doing at the beginning of the book.
Are you ready for a war?
Matt is no hero, but he will die for Tuon and go to the Tower of Genji to save Moraine, who is alive and smitten with Tom?
I did not see that coming.
So many things return in this book. All those insignificant details are finally gaining some significance. Even Tom's inexplicable irresistibility to women. Apparently, the fate of the world depends on it. Rand. Still mourning women above all else. And Moradin's face is flashing in his head. Moradin clearly sent those Trollocs to kill Rand, and the pattern sent along Baalzamon's calling card. Meanwhile, Rand says he wants peace with Shan-Chan while ignoring Mat and Perrin, who are achieving just that. Rather than talk to his friends, he just sits and sulks. What's in his head? The undead Lews Therin grabbing the power and convincing Rand to die at Tarmangaiden. Nice of Semirog to confirm what everyone was already thinking. Rand was delusional to think he was hiding his madness from anyone. He just refuses to see anything that conflicts with his plans.
I did not see because I did not wish to see.
Or you didn't see because you didn't wish to see. Ah. Well, that makes everything fine then.
From acknowledging that he is guarded by women again, to really any good he's achieved. He just despairs and plots wars. A truly terrible combination, as he holds the whole world in his hands. Or rather, his hand. Nynaeve. Sometimes I fear that after doing so many reviews, being so picky, nothing in literature will move me anymore. And then Michael Kramer read The Golden Crane Rides for Tarmangaiden. I've cried every time. This is a scene I go back to. Nynaeve makes me want to ride with Lan to Tarmangaiden. Now, if she could only help Rand. Mutual Aes Sedai destruction. The One Power is ready for its wielders to use it at full strength for Tarmangaiden. Yet we see how the fractions among Aes Sedai, men and women, make it anyone's guess if they will band together or destroy each other.
Are you so busy fighting you cannot see your own ship has set sail?
We see the rebellion dithering without Egwene suffer Baonin's treachery and Romanda's delusional hypocrisy.
Am I so out of touch? No, it's the children who are wrong.
Yet these are the ones Rand sends his envoy. Here, Narishma lets women discover his weaves and exposes Arengar's true nature. Thank the light! Despite their best efforts, the rebellion may just band together and save the tower. Across the river, the sisters, behind in the arms race, are lashing out at the only people they have a chance at beating, each other. Elida, aware of the tower's problems, kidnapped the king of Ilion as a show of power. What?
Is that the whole point of the Doomsday Machine is lost? If you keep it a secret, why didn't you tell the world, eh?
She thinks every problem can be solved by brute force, from garbage to Egwene. Meanwhile, Tamra and Pavara somehow learned the weave for traveling and found Reds who don't hate men to go bond warders at the Black Tower. They at least are catching up with the rest of the world by placing themselves at the mercy of the Black Tower without knowing the dragon's proclamation. The greatest tragedy for the world, yet triumph for Jordan, is that none of these people are dark friends, so far as I know. Until we meet Taim. He is certainly a dark friend. Let the Lord of Chaos rule, indeed. The Trail. Last video, I compared Altara to the Oregon Trail. Now that the country has turned into a battleground again, it's reminiscent of the decidedly less fun Ho Chi Minh Trail, the paths which kept the Vietnam War going for so long. The Vietnam War hardly invented guerrilla conflict. Mel Gibson did.
Going muzzle to muzzle with redcoats in open field, it's madness.
But the trails in Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia were so convoluted that my grandfather, who tracked them for Air Force intelligence back in the day, is still worked up about it. He served on Operation Rolling Thunder, which made a dent in those trails but was ultimately unsuccessful. Which brings us back to Rand's plot in The Path of Daggers. In Knife of Dreams, it explains how Mat and Perrin both waged war in northern Altara and did not run into each other. Not yet, anyway. On top of that, there is The Ways, another maze of untrackable paths on which we know a Trolloc army is lurking, ready to strike. Forsaken. We get a good old-fashioned Forsaken chapter, with a new twist of Michael Creamer reading Arengar's perspective. I think Kate read Arengar's perspective before.
I'm a man. Well, nobody's perfect.
The Forsaken tease that Samael may still be alive. I knew that death was sketchy. We also return to the seals. Though if Moradin is starting the search now, then what was with the last book's prologue? Did someone do their homework before it was assigned? Or is Moradin just telling the others about this now, just as he finally bothered to tell them what the Tarviran looked like? Poor Semirog, letting Mat slip through her fingers and being captured by Rand. With 8 books of build-up, I thought the mail item would have a bigger payoff than just being discovered in a plain wooden box. Malden. Fael does her best under the circumstances. She's the only person to commend men for crying, and I don't think she gets enough credit for that. Her relationship with Roland is disturbing. Can't say I'm particularly sorry for his death. Jordan excellently conveys the all-around tragedy which occurred at the gates. I would have found it more tragic if Fael hadn't been certain that Roland would rape her before setting her free.
Don't they know they're making love to one already dead?
At the end of the day, Messima is ravaged, and Savannah's fate seems cruelly appropriate. I'm surprised that Galena and Tharava survived and were not collared, though frankly escape to the Threefold Land sounds perfectly miserable for all involved. Camelin. Elaine has practically been unhinged the entire book, but her plan to use herself as bait to catch the Black Aja takes the cake. At least she, unlike Egwene, inverted her weaves, but everything else she did was an utter disaster. She got all of her sisters killed, though Vandene went down like a boss. With Elaine falling perfectly into Lanfear, or rather Moradin's trap, it's up to Brigitte to be the big hero, getting the Windfinders who Elaine hates, to save her. The battle outside Camelin perfectly sums up Elaine's greatest faults.
One time, she punched me in the face. It was awesome.
The shot. Matt figured out the Bellfounder riddle back from I don't know when. So Altara sees the first firearms in use on a battlefield.
The die was cast, the rebel flag unfurled.
Poor Kharid is in way over his head, and Matt is effortlessly awesome.
Now blow the yarn of the West, they say.
Whether Matt's marriage to Tuon is good for either of them is yet to be determined, but I assume it's good for the pattern, and most importantly, it sure is entertaining for me, Matt, who is still the mattiest Matt to ever Matt, has succeeded in making a peace of sorts with the Shan-Chan, where Rand has failed. Farewell, Jordan. Valen Luca stating he intended to drop dead in the middle of a show and arrange the largest audience possible sounds a little self-reflective of Jordan. I'm in total awe that the man went to Vietnam and came back with this. A testament to what happens when young men get dragged into great wars and discover war is not great. However Rand, Matt, and Perrin's stories end, Jordan's storytelling has been exquisitely unique. For that, I will always commend him. Thank you, Jordan, and may the perpetual light shine upon you. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe if you would like to see more. Your patronage is greatly appreciated.